Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. Sign up for a 1-week free trial, no credit card required, for access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hello everyone, checking back in on the MJ sector. So when we last left off, we were still being cautious as we were extremely overbought and we were looking for the potential of any pullback that could be significant in the short term, and we want to avoid that. Don't have to make all the money on the way up. I'm okay leaving some money on the table, but I'm not giving any of it back on the way down. That's my style of trading, so that's what we were looking to do. Mentioned in the video that at the end of the day yesterday, I didn't see the same strength that I wanted to see in terms of the bull momentum at the end of the day, showing a strong close that would have me looking to get in and hold for the potential gap up open like we had been seeing. It just felt a little bit different. And again, I didn't want to be greedy after having a really good day that day, not wanting to, try for more. And so I held off and I avoided a 5% lower open. And then I was just sitting patiently all cash waiting for the dump and the pullback. At that point, I did not have any short on MJX, but shorting MJX is fairly easy, and I am going to be doing it when the conditions are extremely volatile and the opportunity is clear. And that's just a style that I'm going to use to accrue longer term positions in terms of more shares, make profit on the way down and reload more shares for continuation on the way up. So here at the bottom of the day, I had a very frustrating day with TWMJF. If you're in the US and you want to avoid currency conversion fees, you're trading TWMJF, and the fills today were just awful. And I have been playing with decent sized positions, so that's definitely a part of it in terms of my terrible fills and the very slow lagging. I've had market orders today sit for minutes on minutes and not fill. I've had limit orders sit for minutes and the price trade 10-20 cents above that limit order and still not fill. It was just extremely frustrating, and I had to scale my trading way back and I had to scale my position sizes back because of that. And certainly I know people that are having issues with their Canadian banks can sympathize getting locked out of accounts. As if this isn't hard enough, it's like having one arm tied behind our back when we don't have the appropriate tools and resources to be able to trade in these high, fast-moving environments, which, it was a really nice oversold bounce today. We were looking for an entry today. Well, first off, let's go back to pre-market. Pre-market, we knew something was up. I was watching MJX, and I was watching a strong open pre-market initially, and the Canadian MJ names were all set to open pre-market just about where they closed. And then as we got closer and closer to the open, started to see a big time dump in the bid and the ask on MJX because it trades pre-market and the Canadian MJ names don't. So the Canadian MJ names were sitting still and MJX was dropping. So all pre-market, I'm saying, okay, something gives. We're not correlated to each other right now. We're either going to see the bulls buy MJX at the open to balance out, or we're going to see them short the Canadian names to balance on the way down to meet where MJX is at. It ended up being the bearish scenario. We had the news of Sessions come in. Jeff Sessions opening up the possibility for the federal government to go after the states that have legalized. That was definitely a big hit to the US sector, and it had an initial bearish effect on the Canadian sector. There's definitely correlations there, and there's definitely fear. Fear spreads. It's like a disease, and people latch on and they dump because of it. There was a really nice oversold bounce opportunity. I sold too early on that bounce opportunity, but again, very frustrated and didn't want to get caught in a position where we started pulling back again and I'm playing with large positions and my orders aren't getting filled. That would be worst case scenario. So I took my profit, and when you can come out with a green day, when you're seeing a 10 to 20% red day across the sector, that's a big time win. And that's what a lot of us were doing today by having cash to play this bounce. So let's get to the details. We have MJX dropping down everything on the Canadian sector. Look at the hourly time frame into tomorrow. That's giving us the ranges we want to look at. I'm looking at the low of the day, the high of the bounce, and the low of consolidation as we headed into the close. So I'm seeing support on MJX at 34.15, high of the bounce resistance of 36.65, higher low was 35.06, and then very tight at the end of the day, not a whole lot going on. So I'm looking for a break of this range. I'm either looking for a break of 36.65 or a break of 34.15. This is a support level as well, but 34.15 is the important one for me. These are the two levels I'm watching tomorrow. If we break bullish, we're going back to the all-time high. I don't think we will, but I'm not going to let that bias determine any decision I make. It's all about the price levels. It doesn't matter what I think. If the bulls break bullish, we're going to make that bull trade. So if we break bearish, the next clear support level is down at 33.12 and 31.25. So this is the hourly time frame, a couple support levels established on the way up, and definitely seeing the start of significant consolidation. A lot of bear volume on the sell today. The daily time frame was a bearish reversal spinning top yesterday, and we followed through with it. So WEED today closed very strong, a significantly weaker open, and we dumped. So let's look at the shorter term time frames. The 5-minute time frame is what we were using on the dump this morning to time entries. I was actually using the 2-minute time frame. Let's pull that up. When you're really volatile, having the 2-minute time frame gives you some extra ability. So what I did is I entered on this first bounce, but only a partial position. We were oversold on the 5-minute time frame. It was enough of a bounce that I wanted to initiate a position where if we started to bounce, that's great, I'm profiting. If we don't, I still have the ability to add to my position. And I doubled up the position on this second drop back down to this key support. And at that point, I was not going to exit anytime soon. I was going to be very patient because the 5-minute RSI down at the lows was oversold, and we were looking for a volume climax on the 5-minute time frame. It was a big bullish reversal hammer, but we were oversold enough, and it was drastic enough to the point where I was confident. 15-minute RSI was oversold. I was confident that we were going to see at least a short-term bounce, and we're not going to dump down into single-digit 5-minute RSIs. Pulling up the hourly here. So here on the hourly for weed, we're watching our support. High of the bounce is resistance. There's our higher low. So it is 29.07 and 34.45. There is another support thrown in there at 31.55, but the low is the main support that's important to me. Equilibrium pattern, tightening range, break coming tomorrow. We'll see which direction that's in. And I don't like the opens where we don't have pre-market trading. Sometimes we break key levels judging on where the market makers open us. That's almost an artificial price, in my opinion. It's not, natural price action. It's where the market makers decide to put us. And that's another point. The market makers on TWMJF that weren't filling me today, there's no rule that's saying there's no law saying market makers have to fill you, at the best available price right when your order comes in. And it definitely felt like, I know they were backlogged with a lot of volume, but we've seen this much volume before, and it's never been like this. And the way that they were choosing when to execute my orders definitely looked a little fishy to me, just in terms of, holding out and waiting till it's 15 cents lower and not giving me the ideal fill when my order came in. Either way, maybe I'm being a bit conspiracy theory here, but bottom line is we need to see this hourly pattern break. And it's the same on all these Canadian MJ names. So APH, very similar daily chart. We look at the hourly. We've got our low. We've got our high of the bounce. And not even much of a higher low here. That's why I'm not really putting too much weight into this higher low that I've been marking on these charts. Because we're not clearly forming a higher low yet. We almost just ran out of time. Support down here is 1660. And the high of the bounce is resistance at 2030. And we're going to watch which level breaks first tomorrow. And we're going to get heads ups. Watch the correlations. If one or two of these names breaks, this pattern bullish or bearish first, and then the rest of the names have not, that's a potential early signal to be looking in that direction and watch for the correlation to pick up and for those names to be laggard plays in the same direction. So ACB going to be looking very similar. It had the strongest bounce in terms of percentage gains from the lows, but we have the lower wick of the dump. We've got the hourly time frame, low of the dump, high of the bounce, no real higher low. So $11.49 support, $14 resistance. That's a huge range. We could easily trade within that tomorrow if things settle down and form an inside bar on the daily time frame, and then we'll have to wait till Monday for a clear break. That's another possibility. So we might not break. There's a lot of space on this one here for ACB. Some of them are tighter, but we might not see a clear break on some of these names tomorrow. IIPR is the US name. I chose to play the Canadian names on the bounce because the news did not affect them as much. IIPR in a name like this is going to get crushed. It was seeing a lot of bull hype. It is based in the US. This is very negative news. If you asked me what's the most bearish news that you think is realistic that could come out, I would have said it was, a 10% chance, but here it is with Session doing this. So we had an all-out dump. The red flags for me not to look for an oversold bounce. In the video yesterday, I said I would be scouting in the upper $20 range. Obviously, the news means we can hit more oversold levels, but the volume, look at the bear volume. That's an all-out dump. The bull volume on the way up is being shadowed by the bear dump and the race to the exit. Support is 25.18 and then 23.40 and 23.30, both right here building a base. So we'll see if the bulls, I wasn't confident enough in a bounce. I was looking at the hourly chart. We formed a bear flag at the end of the day, a weak bounce attempt. We rejected from exponential resistances and then dropped down to lower lows. So the hourly RSI is just now getting oversold. I want to see that down in the low 20s for me to be confident that we can see it bounce. So the bulls are looking for an oversold bounce. I would love to see a flush into the $25, $24 range tomorrow. I will be looking to be a buyer of IIPR if we head down to that point. So looking for a higher low on the daily time frame to be established. We have a lot of wiggle room in that regard. Really, anything above 23. So we could drop another 10% and still be above that level. So that's what we're looking at for tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you have a great night.